welcome back to my channel. I'm Tony. This is my workshop, and on this playlist we're going to be building this bad boy here. It is the Baja 5B from HPI Racing, and if you watch the unboxing video you'll know how I came about to get it. Been lucky enough to get one of these incredible legendary kits. So another massive shout out to both my sons Ben and Tom from NXT Collectables and the entire team of Wheelspin Models up there in Cannock. So I have been through the instructions, not all the way through, but glanced through them a couple of times, and it's a little bit daunting. Now I know there are other people on YouTube who have built this, especially stateside, but I'm going to film it in my style, if you like, and hopefully you'll follow this build and enjoy the entire sequence of build right up to us getting it started and running over my piece of land, which I'm really looking forward to. But from what I can understand, there's a huge amount to build in this. But what I love about this kit, and the reason why I'm going to do this over the Series 1 Land Rover for now, is because I obviously broke my wrist, and this has compromised my ability to work to the same level as I normally do on the Series 1. And the Series 1 Land Rover, just briefly, I've got some challenges on that because the doors, which are the next natural part to be fitted, need some work, and that involves my bench grinder and some heavy work, fettling and filing, and it's really difficult to do that in my current state. But I will get back onto my Series 1, which I absolutely love, at the very first opportunity. I'm probably going to be laid up for about 3 to 4 weeks with this cast. So in the meantime, I'm hoping that this is the natural choice to carry on with, because there's no fettling, there's no cutting, there's no painting or anything. It's just assembling multiple parts. Now, ahead of the build, I have gone out and I bought some extra tools, just because new model, new tools, any excuse, which I'll go over when I'm building the model. But they also give you, HPI also give you some tools in the box, and when I unboxed it I didn't know what they were. Now I do. Anyway, every day is a learning curve, or a learning day, or a school day, and I'm really looking forward to getting stuck into this. So with no further delay, I'm going to reset the camera and we'll get started. Right, so here we go. Let's just open the instructions in the very first assembly page, which is this page here, and it asks you to set up your tool. Now that could be interesting because I can't find that, but that's supposed to be in the tool bag, but it's not there. There's something similar but nothing like that, so we'll see how we get on. And then we've got to go and find all these parts here, which are in the well, let's open it. It says open kit bag A, which is that one there, and then it says open plastic bag A, which is this one here, and you'll see that it's got a label on there, plastic bag A. So I've already opened that, so we're going to need some parts out of there obviously. So let's just open this bag and see what we've got. So that's obviously part of the main front rack frame, and that's obviously finished in the same finish as the chassis, which is that lovely metallic grey. Just get that out. That's it there. Aluminium, got a lovely finish to it. It's like almost a metallic or anodized finish. And then we've got, let's just get a tray. I might need a bigger tray. I think we're going to need a bigger tray. So we'll just put all these parts in this tray for now, so I don't lose them. So pop those in there. No idea what these are yet. No idea what any of this is for just yet, but I'm sure it'll become apparent. Let's just, so we've got fixings, various different size fixings, some rods, some bearings. So let's just open these up. Everything's so difficult with one hand. Just pull all these onto here for now. And we're going to just put these fixings, try and separate them out. With the limited space I've got, I'm definitely going to have to get a bigger tool tray. Yet another tool to buy. Brilliant. Any excuse. sorry, let me just turn that off. We'll just try and separate these out into what they are for now. Various little nuts. And I probably will speed a lot of this up because you're not going to want to see everything in its entire detail. I doubt it very much anyway. And this is going to be a completely new experience. I just hope that what I've learned over the last few years of building models like this gives me some advantage. So let's just put these rods, different size rods. I'm starting to get my head around the instructions, in fairness. I think they're sort of, they're complicated looking, but I think they're fairly straightforward. Well, I hope they are. I hope I don't change my mind on that. So I'll just carry on getting these various fixings out. Pop those in there. Get rid of that. I mean, there's no labels on the bag, so I don't think there's any harm. Unlike the Armortech bags, when I work with those, there's always a label of what's in the bag, and I don't like throwing the bags away until such time that we've got past that stage. I think we'll probably have to pop those in there out of the way, and let's see what we've got in this bag. Alright, got some E-clips, various different fixings. I'll separate them, but I don't mind putting them in together like that. That's all right. I know they're in there. Put the nuts in here, and a ton of E-clips as well. I've got an E-clip tool, but hopefully that's going to do the job. A little split pin there. Put these in there. So that's everything out of bag A, metal bag A, shall I say. Now we just need to go through bag A here, plastic bag A, this bag here, to find these components. Right, so that's all my components cut away from the parts tree, and just all ready to go. I've got all the parts I need, all my fixings in the tray, but almost at the first hurdle, there's this little part here, and I don't know if you can see that in the camera, but let me see if I can get that up into the camera. But there's a part number on here, and on this one is 85418. That's right, 85418. And on here, and this is also on in here, it calls for part number 86418, but it's this part here, and it's obviously this part. There's no getting away from it. There's no other part like it in the pack, so that's obviously a typo. Almost at the first hurdle, so I just hope I don't have too many of those, especially when the parts look so similar. I've also gone around and found all the other parts. Now on here, I'm not sure if you can see that, but let's say it says 86418 and it's got a 2 in the little black circle and a sort of a number 2. That will tell you that on the parts tree, again, I'm not sure you can see that in the camera, but they've got the numbers there. Like in this case, it's a 3 and a 4. So that tells you which parts you need. So yeah, that's nice and easy, so no issues there. So I just thought I'd show you that. Now the other parts that we're going to need are these fixings here, and what's really cool about this set of instructions is they actually have diagrams of the nuts, the nuts and the fixings, so that if you're not sure, you can just, I mean, it's not perfectly identical to scale, but it gives you an indication that you've got the right fixing. And the same goes for the little nut here as well, little lock nut here, so you can tell that straight away they are the right ones. So that's quite a decent way of identifying it, so we might as well get started. So the very first thing we're going to do is assemble, well, pop some nuts in, shall we say, into some of these parts here. So I'm just going to go and find the right nuts, and I'll be straight back. Right, so I've got the nuts, and this is the little kit bag, or the tool kit bag they give you, and on this diagram here it suggests that there's a special little push tool, but there's nothing in here that I can see in this bag. We've got this sort of bush here and a nut. I don't know if that's supposed to be it, but just can't see how that's going to work. But I think I can get around that. I mean, we'll use that tool for another time. I think I can get around that by using one of my hex drivers. So I'm going to pop a nut onto my hex driver like that. Then I'm going to line it up on the target and just push that in like that. Just push that back out. So that's that nut in. Again, doing all this with one hand is great fun. So just do the same again. Just line that up. Push down. It should make a really satisfying little snap sound, and it did. So that's that. They're in. I will just use a smaller. Let's make sure they are pushed in, and they are. So that's those two in. There's no mention of gluing or thread locking or anything at this stage, so I'm going to stick to the instructions. So they're in. Now we've got two that go on the back of this. Let me just double check. Yep, so they go into the back of this, here and here. So we'll do the same technique. Well, it's gone in nice and easy. It's gone in really easy. So those two that are in. So we've done those two, and then we've got this, which is going to need 4 nuts installed. 2 in the back like this, and 2 in the top. Let's do the top first. And needs a little bit more effort. Oh, that's it, that's in there now. Just take that out. Just seeing it's in there, yeah. This isn't the tool you get with the kit, this is just my adaptation of how I'm going to do it. Just line that up. Doing this with one hand is great fun. But as I said, there's nothing I can do on my Series 1 at the moment. It's just all too painful. So that's those in. Once I get flying on this, I'll really get going. I think it's like anything, when you start building a model for the first time, you go slow because you know you're careful and you are trying to do everything to the letter of the instructions. So they're in. Just pop that out. So all the nuts are in. That's all them done there. All done there. Now we've got to try and assemble this piece down here. Right, I think we're good to go. So this this part here bolts through to this part here, and we've got a couple of these fixings, and we're just going to double check, and they are. I mean, I was quite confident that that was the case anyway. So these line up like so, and this fixing passes through somehow into that. I'm going to put this, I'll just pass that through as well, just so I can just see the end of that just presenting itself. And then this piece bolts onto the back in that orientation like that, with this profile inside the arrangement. Now we can just push this up against the nut, and let's start winding that in. That's nice and tight. Very satisfying. This is a great tool. This is another tool I've just bought for this kit. I've got plenty of tools like this, but this is beautiful in the hand. It just works really. Get a firm grip on this, and there's lots of other parts that go with it, lots of other accessories that go with this to make life really easy. So that's bolted onto that, and that's how that is. And listen, if you're a HPI specialist, I have a rough idea what these parts are called and what they do, but at this stage I have no idea what this is. I guess it's all part of the front steering and what have you, but we'll crack on and see how we get on. So yeah, please don't criticise, because this is all new to me, and this is what I love about this hobby. You constantly learn. So this piece goes on here, and there's a couple of countersunk M5 fixings that secures that in place. Just pop those in, and this has got this lovely metallic finish. Which tool? No, wrong tool. Let's try this one. Yeah, right tool. So I'm just going to tighten that up. Nice and tight. So that's that. Actually, I've just seen that these nuts are popped out, so that's not that. So I'll just have to go back and unwind those and get those nuts in. There we go. That's better. So what I'm going to do is just hold that at the back just while it picks that nut up. That's better. I'll size down. Size down the fixing, I think. And use this tool. That's better. Just tighten that up. Again, no mention of thread locker at this stage. I mean, as you know, I'm a fan of thread locker. I think it does an amazing job. So that's that anyway. That's in now. The both nuts are definitely where they should be. So that's the first page of this kit. And so far, really straightforward. Now I'm probably going to speed up some of this. I keep saying that, but I probably will speed up some of this because this will be monotonous to you, but we will see how we get on. Okay, so I actually found that tool that it talks about in the very first page, which is this tool back here, this little part that goes on to your M3 hex fixing tool. I found that in the plastic kit bag B, just right in the bottom of the bag. So I would have thought, not criticising you at all HPI, but I would have thought if that's a tool it should be in this bag here. Odd, but anyway, got it now, so we'll use that as opposed to my adaptation of it. Right, so on that basis we've got two of these parts here. So I've gone and retrieved all the parts, cut them from the parts tree and cleaned up the little bits of plastic which attach. So you will find on these trees that you've got all these bits of plastic. So if you've got a that sort of flat edge cutter, you can cut these off. If not, just cut them as you can and then trim them up very carefully with a sharp scalpel or a Stanley blade, something like that. So anyway, we'll put the nuts in as requested on the instructions. So there's two of these need to be made up. So let's see how this tool works. Nice and easy. That pulls it out. I don't really need a lot of pressure those, so I don't think we're going to need that tool. That's in there, so that's those two there. Then we have this sort of front plate here, the sort of front upper plate they call this, and there's a part that goes in, this part here just pops in like that, and that's secured in place with a plastic washer, which is also on the parts tree. I'm going to put this with the flat edge facing forward, and the bevel facing towards me, and there's a, let me move this into this position, so there's a split pin or a spring pin that just pops that through there, and that's all you need to do there. So obviously got some functionality in it at some point. Doesn't talk about any other way of putting that in, so that's that. Then this gets bolted through into position on the previous assembly, like so. Okay, let me just move these out of the way, move this into play. So this goes here, and it's interesting because there's a couple of notches out of that. I don't know if you can see that on there. It's a couple of notches out, and they've obviously worked out that if you were to, the head of the bolt, not the head, but the end of the bolt that goes through here could clash with it. So they've done that, I think, to avoid clashing with that. And then there's a couple of fixings that go through into this, and I think that's it. Starting to bite now, so let's just put the other one in. See, these were the nuts that we put in on the earlier session. What I'm going to do is just make sure those nuts don't pop out the other side. So it's just starting to bite now. Just make sure they're flush in there, and they are. And then we can go ahead and tighten this up. Try not to hurt myself doing this. If you notice, I've got a different cast on. I had to go and take the A&E, accident emergency as we call it over here. I think in America we call it the ER room. When I went to A&E on the evening where I broke my wrist, they just put a pretty basic cast on just to get you out of trouble, and I had to go back to the fracture clinic today. The good news is it's a clean break. It's a nasty break apparently. When I say nasty, they say it's a bad break, but a clean one. Makes sense of that. All breaks are nasty, aren't they? But anyway, apparently it's a clean break, and it shouldn't take that long as I behave myself and do as I'm told. And trust me, my wife is making sure that that is the case. I'll be up and running within a very short period of time. So that is that part there, all nicely assembled. Sorry. Yeah, so again, not sure. No, it's not really taken shape yet, but you know, so far it's a very straightforward part of the build. Probably now what we're going to do is look at this part here, and I'm going to ask Ben to speed this up from here, please. Right, so that's that part completed. We're up to well, we're up to stage 10 of this build. So that all went together quite well. Nothing really of note there, just that when you put these parts in here, just make sure that these fit into this. It's very snug. And so far, I will say that I think the quality of the build is incredible. the parts are beautiful. Now I know these are plastic, but they're really good, strong, durable plastic parts, and it's gone together really, really well so far. So the next part is obviously this is the front part of the sort of the Baja, and the next part is to put on the what would be, I guess, the front the front rack, if you like. It's like that, and I tell you what, just even that, you begin to start seeing the scale of this thing. This is a monster. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to clean up these parts here, cut them from a tree. I think some of these parts are required as well. All these bits in here, sorry, all these parts in here are required for this part, and then we've got to get these balls inserted into here, and I've got got these balls here, sorry, inserted into this part here, which there's a method for doing that, and they give you a special tool, which is this thing here, and we'll pop one of those in, and then we'll get cracking. Then I'll speed up the rest of it. Right, so that's that all cleaned up from its tree. All the other parts of the plastic have been cut and removed. Now we're going to put in one of these ball joints. Now they give you this tool, this special tool here, and there's an arrow on it, and they ask you to face the arrow to the inside. So just getting, I don't know if you can see that, there's an arrow just there, and that needs to be faced on the inside. We're facing on the inside. You position that like so. Then you get, now there's 4 of these in the kit, they're identical. You get one of these ball joints, slide it over that, and then one of these offset pliers. Now I've ordered a nylon version of this, but this tool does actually help. So that's the tool, you hold it in place like so, and then we're going to just snap a bit of pressure on that, and that snaps it into place. Very, very satisfying noise when that happens. So that's that in there. Put that tool off to one side because that's going to be used again. I've already done the other one, so there's now 2 done. Now it's time to install these to this frame here. Right, so this is connected to the main frame with a rod, which is this one here, a 94mm long rod. Now you get 2 in this pack. There's 2 long and 2 short. These are the longer ones. If you're not sure, just check the measurement on them. But there is a guide on the manual there. If you're not sure, you can check, but even that's not correct. But just measure that. It's a 94mm rod. These are secured in place with some E-clips. I've already put the E-clip on the end of this. So the idea is that I can pass this through. Let's move this into position. Pass this through from the back and present it like so on the front, like so. I'll do the same on the other side. So let's get the E-clip. Let's move this out of the way. I'm rapidly going to run out of space, what with my Series 1 on the bench and this monster. I'm just going to hold that with my wonky hand. This is the trouble when you try to do this one-handed. Go and make yourselves a cup of tea while I'm doing this. That's it, that's on. Yep, that's on, good. So we'll just put the other one on this side now. So we'll try and take this around so you can see it. This is soon going to become an unwieldy beast, I'm sure of it. There we go. So they're both presented through the front now. Now you have this piece here that goes over the top of that, and this cutout here needs to be facing down because this is where the main chassis comes through, I believe. So they go on like so. Make sure they're pushed in from behind. Another E-clip now. Now I do have a tool that should help me with this. look. Again, trying to do this one-handed is really awkward, guys, so please accept my apologies. Oh, right. Just because I'm doing this awkwardly. Let's try it with the pins. There we go, that's on. See that tool? Rubbish. Alright, let's stick to the old ways. That's on. That's it. That's on now. So that's it. That's that part done. So you begin to get a sort of a suggestion of how this is going to build in size. It's a monster, absolute monster. So that's that. They're on. They're good. Now we'll go off and do the other side, or the top rack. Right, so that's that part finished. Relatively straightforward. Couple of little pointers. These connectors here are like a metallic plastic, or a grey metallic plastic. I guess it just matches the frame here. So they're quite easy to find. And when you connect these in with the bolt, there's a little 4mm plastic washer that goes inside this to make sure, well, it just I don't know what it does, but it obviously must be something to do with the spacing of it, because they're tight now and they're equally spaced, so that's really good. And then they give you this tool, which is a really smart tool. I had no idea what this was when I opened up the bag, but it actually is a brilliant tool. So what this does, it slips into there, and then when you put your driver on it to drive your bolt through, it's just designed to hold this in place where you can drive that through. And then of course you just need to make sure that this is parallel with the main frame itself. So this is parallel with that. And also in this particular case, on both of these, let me see if I can just show you that, these need to be tapered up. So these are they're pointing upwards, angled upwards. So that is about it, I think. Straightforward enough. Now we're going to get on and we're going to start talking about this sort of hub assembly here. It's got to have some bearings in it, so I'm going to go and find all these little parts and get ready, and we'll get those installed. And I think once I've got that installed, I think I'll call it a day for today. I'm really pleased with that. So it's a good slow start, but it's starting to get me, into the swing of it. So I'm pleased with that. Anyway, let's crack on and find all these bits that we need to do the next step. Okay, so I've gone ahead and built one of these hubs already, and very straightforward, just really simple process. So what I'll do now is I'll do the other one in real time with you guys, and we won't go on and do all the sort of the carrier assembly on this particular build session. We'll do that in the next one, but let's get this one built. So first thing I need to do is to find the part. Now this is on this parts tree of 85408. Now my flat cutters have arrived, so I can now easily trim all this stuff. I was using a Stanley knife, and then this afternoon, right in the middle of this build, Mr. Amazon turned up, which is brilliant. So it makes life really easy. So just trim all these parts off that we don't need. I really hope that if you're one of my many tankers, you're enjoying this build as well. And sorry I can't carry on with the Series 1 for now, but I'm sure you understand. So this is the main sort of bearing housing, and there's two bearings. One goes in the front like so. There's no mention of bearing lock or anything like that, or glue. So we just push these in as a sort of a, try and get that to a line. And then there's a little bearing press tool that you get in on one of the parts trees, which works really well. I'm just trying to get that bearing to sit semi flat, so that's that. And what happens is, it's made up of three parts. You have this part here, which is what you turn. This is the holding part, and there's a bolt that goes through that. That gets passed through the back of the bearing like that, and then this with a nut that's installed in this, you can see that, then winds on. Now obviously you then need to have some resistance. So I've got my big hex key at the back here, and just going to wind that in, and this makes sure that the bearing's pushed in as far as it can go, and it's as flush as it can be. Just wind that in until it stops, until you start feeling some resistance. That's it. So that's it, it's in. And then just unwind that. Clever tool, and comes as part of the kit. I mean, it's very early stages. I mean, this is just the first stage of the build, and I'm going to be honest with you, I really am impressed with the way HPI have gone about putting this kit together. So that'll come out. Push that out. Save that for later. So that's it. That's it. It's all pressed home. Then the next thing we have to do with this is we have the main hub, if you like, which is this part here, beautifully engineered, and this pushes through the face of this. I should do. There we go. And make sure it's all the way in. All the way in. Then you have this special locking nut. I'm going to turn this upside down. I don't know if you can see. There's a slot, a three-way slot inside the back of the axle, and on the back of this nut you have this similar arrangement, and so you just have to push that into place like so. Now there's no mention of thread locker on here, but my gut tells me I should put some thread locker on this fixing here, and I'll just make sure it is the right fixing because they use the key, and there it is there. And there's a little locking washer that goes on this, so I'm just going to pop some thread locker on that. Although it doesn't say anything, I just feel that with the amount of, well, that's just popped out. I'll have to hold that in place. with the amount of stress that this is going to go under, the last thing I want is that to unwind or loosen. So that just simply passes through there with your locking washer on, and then this gets tightened up, and what will happen is as you start doing that, it wants to rotate. So they've thought about that, and this part of this multi-tool allows you to clamp that. Let me just try and, there we go. I have to use my broken wrist, the cast, just to hold that in place. If I had my hands free, I'd be able to just hold that, but that's the purpose of this tool here, is to make sure you can actually lock onto that axle without it spinning. So again, really well thought out. Then the only other thing that has to go onto this part at this stage is a tiny little lock, what they call it, a nut installation. It's a little nut locker type thing, and this is on this parts tree here, which is the 85422, and we'll just, it's part number 3, so we'll just whip that off, pop that away, and there's a nut that's to go on that, which is one of these M5 nuts. I'd say that things like this would be quite easy to miss in the build if you're not paying attention or you're rushing it. So I'll try and line that up. Easier said than done. Right, okay, so we can do this tool, the push tool. That's another little tool they give you. Brilliant, absolutely brilliant. And then this just slides in. There's only one way you can go on here, and this just slides in. Let me see if I can just rotate this around and do this. So it just literally slides in. Where we are, hang on, get the right way up. You can only go in one way. That literally just slides in like that, pushes into place, and all you need to do is make sure that that hole there is aligned with the nut like that. So that is it. So they're both done, left and right. That's all I'm going to do in this particular session, because it's been a long build already. I really hope you've enjoyed that. I'll just have a bit of a tidy up and I'll come straight back to camera. Well, that's it for today's session, and I'm really pleased. This is section 1 through to 17, and it's the sort of the first part of the front section of the car. And you know, you get a bit of a sense of the size and scale of this monster when you look at that. And we've obviously done the 2 little hubs as well, which we've got to do more work on in the next build session. So if you've joined me today, thank you. I hope you've enjoyed that. If you're new to my channel, please subscribe. We have a long way to go on this Baja build. If you're one of my regular tankers and you've tuned in to see me build the Series 1, I'm sorry, as explained in my previous video, I've broken my wrist, so some of the work I need to do in the Series 1 is really challenging, and I'm going to need full capabilities of both hands to be able to do that. But once I'm out of this cast, I will continue the build of the Series 1, and then I'm going to run the build at the same time, and I'll be releasing 2 videos a week, one on the Baja, one on the Series 1, so a double portion of Tony's Workshop, if you can stand that. Anyway, if you are new to my channel, please subscribe. We have a long way to go on this, and I've built so many other things that I hope you find interesting. I'll sign off by saying thanks again for joining me today. Thanks for all your amazing support. I really hope you're going to come along on this journey with me on the Baja, and I look forward to our next session. See you soon.